one more session, excretion, and with this session, this particular chapter would be over. Okay. So let me brush up what we have seen till now. Excuse me. Yeah. We have studied that nitrogenous wastes are produced and this nitrogenous wastes are produced by liver and then excreted by kidney. We studied the steps of urine formation, 3 steps: ultrafiltration, and second one, selective reabsorption, and the third one, tubular secretion. We have studied this thing. So what we are going to study now is we are going to study this tubular secretion reabsorption alone in a little bit detailed manner today. Okay. So at the foundation level, you need to understand certain things. So it is like at CBSE level, you might not require, but at foundational level, you need to understand certain mechanisms. So you have this glomerulus. Okay. So this glomerulus is going to be there and it is filtering things and it is trying to send out. While it is trying to send out, it is trying to send out to the proximal convoluted tubule, which is the PCT. Okay, I have drawn very simple structure, but usually it is proximal convoluted tubule. It's like very complex. And again, you have the Henle's loop. So this is your Henle's loop. And then you have your distal convoluted tubule. And finally, you have your collecting duct. So these are the loops which are there. So whatever is trying to come out of this glomerulus into this area, we call it as the glomerular filtrate. When this glomerular filtrate is coming, it will contain many things. What are the many things that it will contain? It will contain sodium, contain potassium, it will contain water, it will contain all the waste, of course. Waste, I am putting it as you have glucose, you have amino acids, all these things are required. So when it is coming here, what is happening here is when it is crossing this proximal convoluted tubule itself, what would have happened? Almost 65% of glomerular filtrate is absorbed. Okay. So now, which means it would have taken all the glucose, it would have taken all the amino acids, it would have taken all the wanted things mostly, except what? Water, sodium mostly. Potassium would have also been absorbed. So mostly the one which is coming here through this particular thing will have only what? It will have only mostly water and it will have mostly sodium. Nothing else is going to be there, but it will be there in high quantities. Okay. So now till this particular case, you have this particular sodium and what I mean, all the other things are absorbed here till this particular case. So now in the Henley's loop, something important is going to happen. In Henley's loop, something called as counter current mechanism is going to happen. Okay. So what is the meaning of this counter current mechanism? This counter current mechanism is what I'm going to teach you now. So you have, this is called as the descending loop. And this is called as the ascending loop. You have this Henley's loop. No, in Henley's loop, you have two parts. One is called as the descending loop, and the other one is called as the ascending loop. The one which is coming down. Okay. The one which is coming from the top to bottom is called as descending. The one which is like coming from bottom to top, we call it as the ascending. So here, what will happen? Here, this is where you have your counter current mechanism is happening. So what exactly is counter current mechanism? So the descending loop, I'll take it in the next diagram. The descending loop is permeable to water. Or like, let us say that this is still this. This part is permeable to water. What is the meaning of permeable to water? It can absorb what? What do you mean by permeable of water? It is permeable. Yeah, water can pass through it. Okay. This part is impermeable to water. It can absorb water basically. This part can absorb water. Okay. And this part absorb water. Okay, it is only permeable to sodium. Sodium or ions. Okay. So now what will happen? Let us say that the here water is getting absorbed. So it would have been like kind of a case where water would be absorbed in this particular. So throughout this area, it will be absorbed. Okay. So as it is coming here, here water cannot come out. So what will come out here? Here only sodium will be coming out. So sodium is pumped out or absorbed through active transport, which means it is spending energy and we are trying to concentrate sodium. So when sodium is kind of absorbed here into this area becomes what? This area becomes hypertonic. And inside this loop, it becomes hypotonic. So naturally, what will happen? More and more amount of water would be absorbed. So it is like kind of like pulling out water. So just because this area is hypertonic, here more absorption of water will happen. So this is called as a counter current. So normally water will diffuse through what? Normally water will be diffusing through the semi-permeable membrane at a rate. Okay. Only if water concentration is higher in the inside and low in the outside, this diffusion would happen. Okay. The water is being absorbed here. But as the water is absorbed, the water here will become high. There should be some mechanism to not make it high, because why? Only then what will happen? More water would be reabsorbed. So what is helping that particular thing? This side sodium is kind of absorbed. As sodium is absorbed, this area's water level will not be like, the concentration of water will start to come down, because like it will form solutions kind of thing. So naturally what will happen is this area is made more hypertonic and this is made more hypotonic, and naturally what will it increase? It will increase the reabsorption of water. Okay, this is what we call it as counter current mechanism. So by the time it is coming out of here, this particular solution, okay, by the time it is coming here in the Henle's loop, the urine would be concentrated. Concentrated means what? Made less watery. Are you able to understand? So this is what is happening in Henle's loop. This is a very important point. So you can just okay, just a second, let me explain. Someone is not able to understand. Okay, you need to understand some basic principle. So now tell me, when will osmosis will happen? What is the meaning of osmosis? Osmosis is movement of what? Movement of dash. What will it move? What will move in this case? It is not just water, it is solvent. It is movement of solvent. Okay. From where to where? It is not just, you should not say osmosis will be only for water. You should use the word solvent, because solvent is the right word to use. Any liquid, any solution, solvent will move. That is what is osmosis. Okay. It need not only happen from in water. Water is one of the solvent. Okay. So, and one more thing that you need to understand is, it is from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay. Through what? Through what? A semi-permeable membrane. Okay. So now tell me, let us say that there are two sides which are there. Okay. So here there is water. So okay, let me not put this water. Water is like filled throughout. Okay. This side you have ion concentration. Water is filled in both the cases. Here this is ion. Okay. And here there are also ions. Now tell me, where is like water more and where is water less? Let us say that this is A and this is B. Where is water concentration more? A or B? I am saying that this red color dot is ions. Ion na salt. Salt போட்டிருக்கேன். Salt water ன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. Let us say that this is salt water. This part is having salt. This red color particles are all salt. Here this red color particle is all salt. Where is the water concentration maximum, I am asking? Raja Balaji, you need to rephrase, you need to check. Subhashri, you need to check again. Naturally, B will have more water and less what? Less solute. What about A? A is having more solute and less what? Solvent. Okay. So now where will the water will move? From which side to which side? Will it move from A to B or B to A? It will move from B to A. You're able to understand because water concentration is more here and then it is coming this side. Okay. So this is how your water will move. So now tell me, in the same mechanism, this is a membrane. Water is there. Here in this case, you're like kind of adding sodium. This membrane is just going to add sodium, sodium, sodium. This area is going to have more of sodium. Okay. This is the ascending loop. Sorry, descending loop. This is the ascending loop. Here only sodium concentration is going to be increased by this thing. So as the sodium concentration here increases, what will happen to the water absorption? Will it increase or decrease? If the sodium concentration increases, what will happen to the water concentration? Will it increase or decrease? என்னடா சொல்ற? அது இந்த ஏரியால டிக்ரீஸ் ஆகும். ஓகே. அப்போ இங்க அப்சார்ப்ஷன் வந்து என்ன இருக்கும்? அப்சார்ப்ஷன் இந்த இது வந்து என்ன இருக்கும்? ஹென்லிஸ் லூப் வந்து என்ன இருக்கும்? இந்த இடத்துல சோடியம் கான்சென்ட்ரேஷன் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆக this particular place will have more of water. Sodium and less of water. So here this is going to have more of water. So now where will the water will move? Water will move from this place to this place. More and more water will be absorbed. Are we able to understand? Okay, so more and more. So as the concentration of sodium is going to increase in the side, this will facilitate the osmosis, and what will happen? More and more water would be absorbed in the descending loop. The descending loop is going to take too much of water now. Earlier, let us say that it was, if let us say this is also going to be permeable to water. Okay, this is also going to be permeable to water. Okay. Situation A. This is situation B, where this is permeable to water. This is not permeable to water, but to sodium. Where will the water will be absorbed maximum? A or B? In case of B only, what will happen? It will be more, because here also water is going to absorb, here also water is going to absorb. The water concentration here will be increased. So beyond a point, what will happen? The absorption will not happen. The moment it is touching equilibrium, This movement at all will not happen. When it is like the water concentration is more here and the water concentration is almost equal here, it will stop. This kind of arrangement is not allowing the water concentration here to go above. Why? Because as the water is absorbed here you are absorbing sodium more and it is trying to balance it. So it is trying to reduce the water concentration. So what will happen? More and more water will be absorbed here. Okay, in case of A, what will happen? Only the water concentration will go up and beyond a point, this absorption will be stopping. Are we able to understand? So B is counter current mechanism. What is this counter current mechanism? You are creating a force here so that more absorption is happening here. Yes, are we understanding now? So this is what is called as counter current mechanism. Mechanism is there, and then finally you are going to the out of this loop. You are going. The urine is concentrated now. You have the distal convoluted tubule. In distal convoluted tubule, water is absorbed. Again, sodium is absorbed. Here, the absorption is dependent on two hormones. One, we call it as aldosterone. Okay, this aldosterone will ensure that sodium is absorbed more. Okay, and then the second one is you have a hormone which is called as vasopressin. And what is this vasopressin is going to do? This will ensure that water is absorbed more. Okay, so sodium is absorbed more and water, what is absorbed more? Vasopressin is absorbed more. Water vasopressin will ensure that water is absorbed more. Aldosterone will ensure sodium is absorbed more. These two things will be like ensuring that the urine is further concentrated, and when it is going into the collecting duct, it would be hypertonic. Your urine will be having more salt and less water. Okay, so that is what is the case. Okay, so the pH of urine, someone is asking, pH of urine can be between 4.5 to 8. Around this range it can be there. If you are eating too many fruits, it will be acidic. If you are eating too many vegetables, it would be basic. Okay, it depends on, it is a very huge range. It is mostly around in the range of like very commonly in the around the range of 6.8 to 7.2. This is the normal range, but the fluctuation can happen between these two things. Okay, it is basically your fruits. If you are consuming too much, your urine will be acidic. Vegetables will make your urine basic. Are you guys understanding? Okay, so now let me tell you what is this. It is not because of vitamin B and C. It is because of like your acid functionality groups will be there in fruits. You have citric acid kind of thing. The acid groups will be more, so that will cause that thing. Okay, so now let us go to one important area. There are certain things that we have to discuss. Um, some problems of the excretory system. Okay, you have something called as a kidney failure. When kidney failure is happening, what will happen? You would go for a process which is called as dialysis, or what we call it as hemodialysis. Dialysis or hemodialysis is the same thing. Okay, they generally do it. Why they do it? Like this is done because of whenever kidney becomes non-functional, it becomes that way. Okay, so how am I to rectify it? I will do it because of dialysis. So first, like let us study about dialysis, then we can study about stone formation. Okay, so let us say that a patient's hand is there. What they will try to do is they will try to take from the hand is there. Sorry for the thing. So they will try to have a vein here. We call it as a radial artery and radial vein in this area. So from here, what they will do is from the radial artery, they will try to take a tube outside, take the blood outside. In this particular case, what they will do is they will try to have a chamber. This chamber is called as a dialyzing chamber. And then here this is taken, and then like you have a series of tubes that will be running. Like this. And then again, one more output will be there, which will be connected to the radial vein. Okay. So ultimately what will happen is your blood will be pumped out of the artery here. It will be going through this particular tubes, and then it will try to come out. So in this particular chamber, it is filled with a fluid. A particular fluid. This particular fluid is called as dialyzing fluid. And you should know that this tube is made up of cellophane. Cellophane is a substance, a special kind of substance. Okay, so you will have this thing. So if you are like kind of like going, if the blood is taken into this particular pathway, what will ultimately happen? This cellophane will ensure that urea is going out, hippuric acid, all the waste. This is cellophane is permeable to waste. This dialyzing fluid will ensure that it is capable of absorbing it. So what will happen? The urea will start to go. As the urea's concentration is increasing here, what will happen is the movement will stop. So what you do is you try to pump in fresh dialyzing fluid and then remove the old dialyzing fluid once in a while. So say for example 10 minutes, 15 minutes, once they will this machine will drain this thing, it will add the new fluid and this process will be continuously going. So after some time, what will happen when the blood is coming to the side, it will be like free of what? It will be free of urea. This way you can treat kidney failure. So this is what we call it as dialysis. Usually it will take some 3 to 6 hours it will take. Okay. Depending on the way the kidney is affected, this period can change. Okay. It is not cellophane, is like kind of a different substance. The dialyzed blood will be deoxygenated. Basically, whatever is coming there will be like added to the vein. So it will go along with the deoxygenated blood. If it is a temporary problem, it can be brought. Okay, someone is asking me, can the kidney brought to its normal stage again if you're going to use that thing? Okay, so please understand that there are different kinds of defects in kidney. Sometimes it can be caused because of a bacterial infection for a temporary period. Okay, if suppose the kidney's function is because of like it has become old, and then like people have become old, and then like it has become ruptured, or like it is like become failed, in that case you cannot do anything at all. But whenever you're thinking about a case which is temporary, a temporary problem because of your say like infection or some kind of disease, then in that case it will be like kind of cured. Why do you think that reabsorption should happen in dialysis? In dialysis, what is happening? Only the waste is going out, nothing else is going out. Okay. Is this a genetic disease? No, it is not a genetic disease. Let me just tell you, kidney is like almost like a filter. Okay. Filter in your house. Let us say that you all have tea filter in your house. It is almost like that. You are using the same filter for long time. What will happen to the filter at times? The filter will get wasted out. Okay, it will be like kind of it will be like kind of becoming a problematic situation. The filter will become worn and tore off. Then in that case you cannot survive. So in such a case, what you will do, you have to get a new filter. This is almost like a situation like that. Whenever the kidney is failing, okay, whenever the filter has become old, you will have a problem. And why is that not everyone is getting a kidney failure? Because it depends on your diet process. How you are eating, what you are eating, everything is important. So say for example, if I am not giving like sufficient thing to the correct kind of water drinking, correct kind of foods that I take. For some people, like they will eat too much of like what? Too much of proteinaceous substance. You can eat protein to a particular level, but you have seen this bodybuilders and all, they will take abnormal amounts of protein. So say for example, you if your weight is like say 60 kilogram, you can take 60 gram of protein in a day. The more you take than this thing, this is the amount that you can what your body will require. Instead of 60 gram, if you are going to eat 100 grams, you are eating 40 grams in excess, which means more urea will be generated. When more urea is generated, naturally more urine will be secreted. So it is all dependent on how much protein intake. So and what kind of food that you are eating. So you are eating too much of salty foods, then there is a problem. Okay. And if you're drinking too much of water than necessary, that is also a problem. Some people and all like today, like many problem is arising because like we are not drinking sufficient water. That is why they are saying that you should drink water. But at the same time, the water content that you're drinking should not exceed a limit. Okay. So in such cases and all, kidney will fail. when the filter is like kind of, yeah, proteins are the source for producing urea, no? So where is this ammonia coming from? Amine group only, no? How will they clean the dialyzing machine from the next person to dialyze? They will have that, they'll change the chambers and all. I mean, I'm not sure about that thing. Maybe you can search it in the internet. Is dialysis a painful process? Basically, it is a tiring process. Tiring process in the sense, like, what is the case? Your entire blood is going out of your body and coming inside. So, which means like it is like kind of, it will make you tired. So it is not very painful, but it is very tiring. So you will lose lots of energy in a dialysis process. And then finally, you have your thing. Someone is asking, can one person live with a single kidney? Yes, they can live with a single kidney. How they can live with a single kidney? A single kidney is sufficient to remove waste. Easily 20 years, 30 years, you can live with a single kidney. I know of a madam here who has, like a doctor madam here. She donated a kidney to someone else. And then it's almost like when I was a child, she gave it. Like almost like when I was studying 8th standard, I remember that doctor. Okay. So that was like in 1998, I saw her donating kidney, and she's alive till now. She's having only one kidney. Okay, she's like there more than like 22 years now alive. She's just having one kidney and she's healthy, perfectly healthy. Dialysis and hemodialysis is the same. Dialysis is one process. Hemodialysis is one type of dialysis where we are having two kidneys because to be safe and healthy only, nothing else. One kidney, having living with one kidney will not create a problem. You can donate it to others. Why not three? Means God has given only two. How frequently it must be done dialysis? It depends on the amount of waste generated in your body, and then like how much waste is there in your body. For some people and all, one day once. That is like in extreme cases. In some cases, it is different. An alcoholic person will get more of liver problems, yeah, which is associated with the kidney also. I told you it will take 3 to 6 hours. If some part of the blood goes outside the body, wouldn't that change the pressure inside the body? It might, but you're taking it from one point. Okay, so listen here. Now let us study about kidney stones. We call this as renal calculi. Whenever your food is having too much amount of salts, of oxalic acid, and too much of calcium salts, then it will be like a kind of, there is a chance for forming stones. So what will happen is when the urine is having too much of salts, some of the time what will happen is when you are not drinking sufficient water, the salts can form a crystal. So let us say that this is the kidney. Okay, in your renal tubules and all will be there. So it can form small things. So usually your kidney will be like this. It will all join together like this. Okay. So let us say that there is like some kind of stones are formed, small stones. Let us say that it has formed here. Let us say that it has formed here. So like this, stones can form. this oxalic acid substance and this calcium thing can create some small stones. When these stones are formed, what will happen is it is like not allowing the urine to go in a proper way. That is what is causing the trouble. So whenever that stone is available there, it will create pain. Okay. So why is this happening? It is because of the contents of oxalic acid, and then like it is because of the content of calcium salts. Okay. So this will be like kind of increased because of your diet. Diet is one reason for it. What kind of food you are taking. And the second thing which is going to impact your thing is kidney is it is insufficient water drinking. And the third reason can be controlling urine. If you're kind of like doing these things, diet is improper. What is the meaning of improper? Means you are consuming some kind of foods too much than necessary. Say for example, cabbage, okay, gobi, your cauliflower, broccoli, all those things will have this oxalate salts. Okay, you can eat once in a while. Once in a while means like what? So say for example, say weekly once you can eat one of these things. But daily you're eating too much of it. Then it is going to be there a problem. Okay. And then like the second thing is like your diet is like having too much of tomato. There are certain vegetables which can increase these salts. There are certain kind of foods, proteinaceous foods which can increase salts. So those kind of things, even non-vegetarian food also, certain things will increase certain salts. So the diet is like till you're young, it's not a problem. But beyond the age, if you're eating too much, when your system is like kind of slowing down, if you're like kind of like eating. So basically, it is like oxalic acid stuff will be like kind of oxalate salts. There are certain salts which are called as oxalate, calcium oxalate kind of salt. So those kind of salts, when they are there, the chance of like crystallizing will be higher. Even salt, for that matter, you are taking too much of salt. That is also a problem. When the diet is improper, your kidney can form stones. When you are not drinking sufficient water, because if water is there, this will dissolve and it will go away. Okay, you don't need any special treatment for dissolving salts and all. When will it be a problem? When it is becoming a bigger stone. When it is smaller, if you are drinking sufficient water, it will dissolve and then it will go away. Okay, and then like when you are controlling urine also, this will happen. You should not control urine. If you are getting urine, you have to like get out. It's not like, I mean like at least like say once in 2 hours you can pass urine. That is the normal frequency. It depends on what you want. Okay, so this is how your kidney stones is formed. Kidney stones can be operated and taken out, or with medicines you can dissolve it. Sometimes if it is early stage, if you drink sufficient water itself, this kidney stone will come out. Okay, so with this thing, this part is over. Now we are going to the last part of the lesson. The last part of the lesson is excretion in plants. Will spinach contain oxalic acid? I am not sure. Last slide, yeah, you can check it out. Tambi, all these items are things that we eat. It's not like it is a problem always. What I'm trying to tell is, I'm trying to tell that there are certain foods that if you are eating too much, it will increase the chance of creating stones. Because you need to understand, all these food items that we are eating is also going to have what? It is going to have some kind of chemicals which are kind of removed by your body. Okay. So when those kind of chemicals are entering into your body, then there is a problem. How to find if you have a kidney in stone? You have to take a X-ray and see. If you're having any abdominal pain kind of thing, they will suggest you to take a X-ray. In an X-ray, it will be very clearly seen. The stones can be seen. Depending on the size of the stone that is present, the treatment can be given. If the stone is very big, they will ask you to remove it through surgery. If the stone is small, they will ask you to take some medicines or injections. If the stone is even smaller, they will ask you to drink lots of water and leave it. Automatically, it will dissolve. Okay, can we proceed further? I just have 10 more minutes. I should be able to complete it in 5 minutes. Okay. So now let us move on further. The last part of the lesson, excretion in plants. Plants have waste too. Okay. So, but they do not have, like, for them, oxygen itself is a waste. So it is removed through stomata. If there is excess water, it will be removed through transpiration. Okay. For them, they will have like carbon dioxide plus water is what they will get it as a end product of respiration. So this carbon dioxide is reutilized. Water is reutilized. What they will do is they will take this particular thing and they will use it again for what? Photosynthesis. Okay. Plants, no, plants, when they will take in water, they will take in carbon dioxide, they will take in water, and then they will do photosynthesis. This photosynthesis, they will produce glucose plus oxygen. The oxygen they will send out. They will take this glucose and go for respiration. If glucose is broken down, it is broken down into carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. This ATP they will use, and they will take this thing again to the photosynthesis. So this is how they will try to do it. So it is like kind of more of a recycling thing that plant will do, which means they do not have much of waste. If at all there is excess water, this oxygen is waste, they are removed through stomata. Yeah, this is what is the waste which is sent out through stomata. If there is excess water, too much of water than required, then in that case they will go for transpiration. Okay. Whereas if it is carbon dioxide and water which is there, they will try to reutilize it. The amount of carbon dioxide and water which is like kind of produced as a product of respiration will not be sufficient. The plants will store lots of food, so they will not use all the glucose. They will be constantly producing glucose and store it. Only then we are able to eat. The plants will store lots of glucose in their body, so they will have a constant need of carbon dioxide and water. Are we understanding? Okay. So the next thing that you should know is the last part. There are certain other ways which are there. Chemical waste. What they will do is they will try to gather, plants gather the waste in old leaves and they fall down. Okay, the moment it has decided, say, let us say that there is a leaf like this. There is a leaf, there is a leaf, there is a leaf, there is a leaf, and there is a leaf. Let us say that it wants to remove waste. So it will try to channel all the waste from all the areas into one leaf. So it will try to bring all the waste from all these areas. This leaf will become old. And after that thing, what will happen? This leaf will fall. When the leaf is falling, along with that thing, the waste will also be removed. Okay, so they will be able to send all the waste, track it to one part of the plant, and then like what they will do is they'll remove that leaf. That leaf will be made old, and that leaf will fall. In some plants, they have different mechanism. Some plants exude gum. Or resins. Have you seen in drumstick plant? Have you ever seen this drumstick plant? In drumstick plant, you will see some gum kind of substance which will be coming out, and some kind of thing, resin kind of thing will be like kind of coming out. Wait a minute. You see this one. In bark of the tree and all, you will be able to see this kind of structure. This one. This is like kind of a gum which is coming. So it is like kind of a waste again. Okay. And then like gums in trees. So this kind of extra structure that you see. So these are all waste only. The plant does not want, so it is trying to. Yeah, rubber is also a resin only, but the plant does not want it. It is all like kind of waste generated by those plants. I'm not sure if Asafoetida is a waste. This is Asafoetida tree, they are saying. So I think some part of it looks like that thing. Okay, I'm not sure about Asafoetida. This is Asafoetida. Okay, so this kind of waste is there. So your waste, resins and gums, exude gums or resins as waste. Okay, so with this thing, we are completing this chapter. The chapter life process is over almost, like I have taken too long for this chapter to be completed, but I have gone in a very slow and steady pace to complete. So let us, I have like detailed almost digestion, excretion and all. I have like done it very detailed at like almost at 11th standard level. Okay, so you should be able to understand. Read your CBSE textbooks. You will be finding it very easy now. Okay. Thank you very much, children. Yes, Pranam, if you have doubt, you can ask me. Is there really insects in stomach as they say? Yes, there are insects in intestine. It is not in stomach, it is in the intestine. Some organisms can live, like worms and all can live. It depends on what food you are eating. If the food is infested with worms, your intestine can have worms. And you have to take tablets to remove those worms. Your flatworm, tapeworm, and all can live. Okay. No, it is not a lie. Because they contain waste parts. Why fallen leaves are brown? Because it is like kind of like containing all the poisonous thing. The chlorophyll might die. So that is why they are brown in color. Okay. Thank you. I'm just stopping the class. Thanks a lot. Sir, class முடிச்சிட்டேன்.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.